Hi everybody and welcome to another video. Today I'm here with my friend Amy and we're going to talk about how to be a good friend. I have known Amy for about 5 years. We met when we were both traveling in Australia. And yeah, so 5 years is already quite a long time. Amy and I, we both don't know what we've written down as the points. We've given each other the task to write 5 points how to be a good friend. And whenever Amy says something that I've written as well, then I'll say that I did and we'll talk about it. So we don't actually know how many points we've got. We don't know if we have 10 or 8 or 6 or only 5. So yeah, let's get into it. So what is your first point that you've written down, Amy?
Okay, my first point is honesty.
So
I think it's really important in a friendship for the other person to tell you the truth, even if it's not something that you want to hear, because usually it is for your own good. So whether that is that you've got spinach in your teeth, or that a friend's done something that's upset you, because it's important to share that and be honest about how you feel.
Yeah, that's true. I think I've actually written that. How funny! I've written at the first point as well.
It's number
one. To always be honest, even when it's hard.
Exactly.
That's what I've written down. Because I would say that in our friendship, we've certainly seen that when you're honest, even when it's hard, and you feel that your friend is okay with that, it's kind of like your friend catches you and it makes the friendship even stronger, rather than if you keep it to yourself, even though the other person doesn't know, it kind of backfires in terms of your relationship, is what I would say.
Definitely. I've actually written as an example that recently you told me about something that I had done which had upset you, and you were very honest about it, but you said it in a caring way, and once you'd explained how you felt, it actually made our friendship stronger. So I think being honest is really important.
Yeah, so what I can say, the way that I approached Amy when I wanted to tell her something, I just tried to say it in a very caring and friendly way, and also explaining that I know that she didn't do anything to upset me on purpose, obviously, but that it upset me for whatever reason. So if you have something that you want to share with a friend and you don't know how, always make sure to tell them how it made you feel and how else would you have wanted, well, how would you have wanted your friend to do something different? Good idea. So should I start with my second? Okay. And you tell me? Yeah. So the first is already the same. So my second point is to be proactive about communication and meeting up. Okay. Maybe I should explain a little bit. I think every friendship, every relationship is different, but especially when you haven't been friends very long and you're not really sure where you stand in a relationship and somebody doesn't contact you, you might think that they have fallen off the radar. So if you want to stay friends, it's nice to be proactive and say, hey, you want to hang out or you want to do such and such, and that just shows that you're interested in that friendship and that you make an effort.
I don't have that, I'm afraid.
That's okay. We don't know. It's good we don't have all the same. But did you want to add anything to that?
I agree. I think it's important that in order to develop a relationship, you actually spend some time together, and you communicate regularly, so you're meeting up or you're phoning or messaging. One thing I definitely struggle with is replying to messages and getting back in touch with people. So I think it's really important in a friendship that you do both make the effort.
Yeah, I think it's not always necessary to call or message each other every day, or maybe not even every week. I mean, with some people you might have been friends for years, or I've been friends for years with some of my friends in Germany, and they don't expect me to message them all the time, but they know we are friends even if I don't message them. But I think it's a good point to remember that someone will always feel more cared about when you ask them how they are. So what's your second one?
My second thing is for a friend to be supportive. So I mean that they would listen to your plans and ideas and help you to reach your goals. So it might be they're talking to you about your plans. They're going to help you to test out your ideas and your plans. If something doesn't work, they will help you to think of alternatives. So if you've got something that you want to achieve, they will support you to do that.
I think I've wrote something similar. I don't know if I want to give it all away. Well, I would say that my fifth point relates to it, because I wrote to listen, not to give advice unless requested. So I didn't write support. I have that in another point in a different way. But what I mean by what I've wrote is that sometimes it's very natural, actually, for all of us, when we have a conversation, to listen but not really listen, you know, because you're already thinking in your head, what else can I say? How does this relate to me? And it's just, you're just trying to carry on the conversation. But especially in a very good friendship, you should, and especially if somebody is in a situation where they do need your support, most of the time it is actually more helpful to listen and not think about all the advice you want to give, because then they can find their own answers and they feel that you appreciated their feelings, and they will just appreciate that you were actually able to listen and not interrupt and maybe share your examples, at least not in the first place, I think.
Definitely. And actually, I've put listening as another point. So I've said that it's really important for a friend to listen and not to always try and fix your problems and come up with solutions. Like you said, they don't need to give you advice all the time, but just to listen to you, let you explain how you feel, just get things off your chest, and just for someone to be there just to listen to you. So I've actually put that as another point. But
yeah, I really try very, very hard to stick to this point: listen and not give advice unless asked for. Because obviously if somebody asks for your advice, then this is your time to give it. But if somebody doesn't ask for your advice, it's actually a good idea not to give it, and just wait until they do, or until they figure out how to solve it themselves.
I think sometimes just talking about it to someone else, that is enough to help you to solve the problem. It's just that someone's listening to you and someone is available so you can explain how you feel, and you often solve it by yourself without the need for their advice, just from them listening.
Yes, I remember I once read in a book that there was a dad and a daughter, and the daughter was basically just pouring her heart out to the dad, and the dad literally didn't say anything, absolutely nothing. And then after she finished, she said, "Oh my gosh, Dad, thank you so much, you helped me so much." And he was like, "I didn't do anything, I just listened to." Yeah, so I think it's good to remember that. So my third point actually kind of relates to this. Amy and I actually discussed beforehand that we feel that our points all kind of relate, but I guess that's okay. So the next one is to be there in good and bad times. I guess it's kind of the same as being supportive. If you have a very good, deep friendship, then that means you're not just going out partying. I mean, you can do, but you are also there if the person needs you in not so good times, and yeah, so it kind of relates to each other.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's important that you're there through thick and thin, and through the good times, and you can celebrate and have fun together, but also through the bad times you can help the other person through sort of the difficult times.
Yeah. So I let you carry on.
So I'm going to say being non-judgmental. So even if you don't have the same beliefs or you don't have the same interests and you don't always agree, to listen to the other person and respect their ideas. And I think that again links to being supportive, but to sort of not to judge them because they have an idea or an interest that might be different to yours.
It's funny, I have that as my fourth point as well. I actually didn't think that we have most of the points as the same, but I think it kind of shows that this is probably also why we get along so well.
Yes.
Because I mean, you don't have to have all the same interests with a friend, but it is good to have the same values. So I guess it's in a way not that surprising that we have written down the same. Yeah, not to be judgmental. I actually try to be less and less judgmental as I go through life, not even just with friends, with everybody, because I read in a book, I mean, this is basically, you can believe that or not, that's okay, but what I read is that when we judge others, we judge ourselves, and we judge all the time, actually, all of us. But when I go out and I catch myself judging other people, like for example, I'm on the tube and I see somebody and I think, oh my gosh, what is this person wearing? Then I catch myself and I say to myself, okay, it's not for you to judge.
Yeah.
But I really watch my own thoughts and see what comes up. And sometimes, I mean, I'm even surprised. Yeah, so that's a very good point, actually. And especially in a friendship, to just let the other person be rather than judge what they do. It doesn't always have to be what you would do or what you think is right, because that might not be right for you, but it might be right for them. And yeah, I think it's a very, very good point. And also being a good friend, I don't think I've written that in any of the points, but not to talk behind each other's back. One of my New Year's resolutions is that always to say to a person's face if there is anything that I need to say, rather than behind their back. And if I need to talk about them, it's to discuss how I can approach them rather than gossiping about them. Yeah.
I'm glad you brought the resolutions, because one of the things I was thinking about is that we didn't have the same New Year's resolutions. So Melanie and I have decided to share our New Year's resolutions, and each month we go through them and talk about our progress towards our goals. And we didn't have always the same resolutions, but at no point have we been judgmental about what the other person wants to do. So
that's
I was
true.
thinking, some of my resolutions, even when I've said them out loud, I've been like, oh, that sounds really funny. Like,
really?
Things like, well, I want to use a food waste bin, and I want to get a bamboo toothbrush. And I've thought it sounds funny when I say it. At no point have you laughed or said, why do you want to do that?
Yeah.
You've said, okay, that's what you want to do. How are you going to go towards it?
Yeah.
You've not laughed or been judgmental that my resolutions are different than yours. So.
Yeah. It's interesting that you're bringing this up, because I actually have not judged you, not even in the back of my mind. Which shows that practicing being non-judgmental actually works.
Okay, I have one left, but we've sort of talked about it already, which was shared interests. So we've mentioned that you don't have to enjoy everything the same, but to have sort of shared values. But I think you wouldn't be friends if you didn't have some things in common, like some shared interests. So it might be things you do together, like exploring London, or like the acting or travelling, or it might be that you both enjoy reading, or you both enjoy writing or something. But I think if you didn't have shared interests, you might find it a bit difficult to sustain a friendship and conversations if you don't have anything in common. So I think having shared interests or having something in common is important to become friends in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, when you meet somebody and you have something in common, that's basically how you connect, because the more you have in common, the more you have to talk about, and then you connect more and more. Rather, if you say one thing and the other person says, I'm not interested in that, then you're saying another thing, they're like, nope. That's kind of like not taking the offer. I mean, they could also say, I don't do that, but that kind of relates to something else that I do. So yes, I agree. That's the connecting point. But I do certainly think you don't have to have everything in common. I don't think anybody has everything in common. That would be a bit weird. Because we are
boring if you're the same.
Yeah, we are all different. But yeah, I agree that definitely makes it easier, and you have things that you can actually do together or talk about. Yes. Yeah. Wow, that was actually very quick. I want to say, to round it all up, that I feel that most of our points were related to communication and connection and being non-judgmental. I think those were the most important points. I don't know, how do you see it?
Definitely, I think communication for any relationship or friendship, communication is the most important.
Yeah, I think so too, because if your communication is good and open and non-judgmental, that's when, yeah, you just feel safe in that friendship, partnership, and you don't have to worry. You probably have heard the phrase walking on eggshells. That's certainly not what you want to do. If you feel like, oh my gosh, if I say this, the person's gonna get upset, or if I say that, the person's gonna be angry at me, that's not a healthy relationship to be in. If you feel that your communication can flow, that's really when you are in a good relationship. Yeah, I think with that being said, we can round up, we could finish this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you would like to share any of your own thoughts, you can do that in the comments below. And otherwise, I will see you in my next video. Bye bye. What about this? What is she talking about?